coming up.
We like the Galvey cattle because of their docility. We get along with them, their maternal traits.
Things I like specifically about Galvey and Balancer is just the growth that they put on there. That everything that we have are docile, they stay healthy, we don't have hoof problems.
See why Galvey influenced cattle are the continental breed of choice, next on The American Rancher. Hello and welcome to The American Rancher. I'm Pam Minnick. Docility is a priority of commercial cattle producers who also value cattle that will produce a calf year after year. Galvey cattle deliver with strong maternal traits such as fertility and quiet temperament. On today's program, we visit with producers who reveal the top traits that are important to their crossbreeding systems and how Galvey and Balancer genetics fit in so well.
Well, I'm Kevin McComb. This is my wife, Bunny. We run a small cow-calf operation in southwestern Colorado. We run on irrigated pastures the majority of the year, and then we summer our cattle at high elevation on public lands with the U.S. Forest Service. We run about 120 mother cows and retain our own replacement heifers using Balancer bulls as a terminal cross for the most case. We do run our own replacement heifers. We retain the ownership of those, which goes back to the age-old thing of do you buy them or do you raise them? And I guess we like the genetics, so we raise our own. And we like the Galvey cattle because of their docility. We get along with them, their maternal traits. We try to keep them moderately cow-sized, running on public lands in big country. When we first got married, we wanted some cows, and we started with some old horned Hereford cows that we'd bought from an operation over in Ignacio. And we knew that wasn't where we wanted to be, and so we started a crossbreeding program and kind of got to the characteristics of the Galvey breed that we wanted, and being a small operation, because at that point we were, 20, 25 cows, and we thought, well, we'll go to the purebred thing. So we started pretty heavily in the Galvey business, actually even raised some purebreds for a while. I was teaching ag full-time at that point in time, and we were retaining our ownership of our first calf heifers. When I left here at 7 in the morning and sometimes didn't get home till 5 or 6 in the evening, those heifers needed to be calving on their own. At that point, we started AIing, and we were going to Angus bulls with low birth weights so that we were pretty assured those heifers could calve unassisted on their own. And I guess that's kind of how we really slid off into the Balancer part of it. I don't know as it was an intentional, but I think it was a great move because it helped us, in some other areas. Hybrid vigor, whenever you take two breeds of cattle and the characteristics from two different things and put them together, I think you get some advantages.
My name is Shawn Martin. I'm the owner of Martin Ranch. We're located in Carbondale, Colorado. We run at an elevation of 7,000 to 9,000 feet. I'm a cow-calf producer with a little small registered herd. When we select our females in the fall for our ones we're going to keep, the first thing they have to do is totally on phenotype. They have to look the part of what's going to be a great mother cow. And in February, we pap test them. And at that point in time, Dr. Holt comes, we do it, we set a cutoff limit on that. He tests them, there's a fallout from that. It's usually fairly small. Then we pull genomic information on them through Neogen and through the association. And then the most important thing is of all, and we feel like this is one of the good traits of the Galvey, is we do a 30-day breed, and they have to make the cut, and that's the big cut. And there's no getting around, and they do a great job on that. The reason we came back to Galvey, once we were there and really saw the traits and stayed with them and have expanded upon it, is because of the added weight, especially on crossbreeding on Angus cattle, plus the maternal attributes are unbelievable. The milk was great, feet were great, the disposition is huge. There's a lot of great cattle breeds out there. Some don't have good dispositions. The calving ease has been fantastic. And you know, I need live, good calves on the ground and moms that will take care of them. And the Galveys have been fantastic at that.
I'm Lauren Fisher here at Rich Hill, Missouri. I run a cow-calf operation, and we've been using these balancer genetics for the past several years now. We were looking for something to produce some females and put more pounds on our calves, but yet make females that would stick around and last for us. And we just needed something that would breed back and shed off nice and be able to handle the fescue and the summers around here. So over the years, I'd bought a bunch of females just to grow my herd, and it seemed like the percentage that would fall out with those was pretty high over time. And I've noticed over the years, after running more balancer genetics, that my females are sticking around longer, and I'm liking what I'm getting for females. We recently had a pen of heifers harvested. Out of 121 head, the average weight was 1248 with 114 choice and 7 prime, so 100% choice or better, 94% yield grade, 3s or below. So with our females that we've been producing and with our carcass data that we're getting back from the feedlots, I feel like we're hitting our goals. I feel like we're going in the right direction here. If we can just keep moving forward like we have in the past few years, I think we'll be in good shape.
My name's Tucker Lauthe, and this is my wife Andrea, our 2 kids Elliot and Emery, and we live in just east of Idalia, Colorado. Farm and ranch out here, run about 350 head of cows, and we run balancer bulls. Things I like specifically about Galvey and balancer is just the growth that they put on there. Everything that we have are docile, they stay healthy, we don't have hoof rot problems. The longevity of the bulls, they stay in the herd for 4 or 5 years as long as we can use them. They always seem and test very well.
We've ran a cow-calf operation my entire life. That's what I grew up doing, and really enjoy being, you know, more on the manager side of doing that and having our own cattle. And we just really enjoy and appreciate the genetics that Galvey and balancer bulls bring to our operation. It's important for us to have cattle that we can trust, you know, because the kids and I are going out there, and so we know that we're going to be able to go out there and be safe. And then just what it brings to our calves when we get ready to market them. We take a lot of pride in the fact that we have buyers come back year after year because they know our calves are going to be quality.
After the break,
The one thing that we also liked with the Galvey that we didn't have before is we've had virtually no trouble with pap testing and brisket.
Here in Missouri, the fescue seems to be a problem for us. It seems like it's important for our females to shed off and be able to tolerate this heat.
learn how Galvey cattle thrive in a variety of climate conditions. That's after the break here on The American Rancher. Welcome back to The American Rancher. When it comes to choosing quality females, all producers value cattle that will stay in the cow herd a long time and raise a calf year after year, regardless of climate. From the mountains to the plains and grasslands, many producers recognize that Galvey and balancer cattle excel both in longevity and the ability to thrive in diverse environments.
We're a little bit unique in that we do run at high elevation. The top end of our forest allotment is probably getting close to 11,000 feet. It goes down to 8,500. Our home place here is at about 6,200, probably to 7,000, something like that. So one of the major concerns that we have is pulmonary arterial pressure, and we have to be very cognizant of what that might do. And yeah, we end up with a bull that ends up with high altitude disease or brisket disease, whichever way you want to call it. And we hate losing that bull, but our biggest concern is since we do retain our own heifers, we are very cognizant of that POP pressure because genetically that's passed along and we don't want to deal with it for generations. So our vets have helped us with a little criteria that You know, at this elevation, you could probably deal with this PAP score, at this elevation, this PAP score. And so we've kind of settled it at anything that's 40 or less, we're pretty happy with. And we really like 35s and 36s if they're tested at 5,800 feet elevation. And we don't have a problem. We have not had a problem with PAP in our Galvey cattle. But since we're typically balancer based, we do have that Angus influx, and so we still have to be very cognizant of it, and so we try to watch the PAP scores on anything that we bring in that's Angus. I was telling Bunny the other day, you know, I don't believe that there are any bad breeds of cattle, that there's some work better for other people, and so we've kind of settled on the Angus and the Galvey and the balancer for our operation.
The one thing that we also liked with the Galvey that we didn't have before is we've had virtually no trouble with pap testing and brisket. We test all the bulls, we test the heifers, we test everybody. Dr. Holt does it from CSU, does a great job, but we have virtually nobody fail the test, and we attribute that to the continental breeding and stuff like that. But it's definitely helped that problem from when we used to be more of an Angus-based herd. It's something we can't do without. We have to have it, and also as we sell bred commercial heifers, and in that respect, we have to be able to know that we're safely selling something that the customer can take and run at any altitude with no fear of any issues in the slightest.
We're in a part of the world, they call it the high desert or high plains desert for a reason, and last summer we've already, here it is May 24th, and we've already got more rainfall, more moisture than we had all of last year. See how it's important for this part of the country to make sure that we have cows that can go and take care of themselves and still raise a good calf and still breed back. And we keep our calving season tight within that 60 to 70 day range. And so the cows pretty well sort themselves, but what you're left with is really good cows when you're done with it.
Here in Missouri, the fescue seems to be a problem for us, but yet that's what we have here to graze, so we all have to kind of deal with it. But it seems like it's important for our females to shed off and be able to tolerate this heat, and the long hair cattle thing doesn't work too well for us. So with our fescue here in Missouri, we feel like we've got to have bulls that can handle this, so when we turn them out, they can get around and do their job, and that's not holding them back. And at the same time, these females have to be used to it, and that not be an issue for them. So we try to look for these bulls that can get out there and do their job, and that are slicked off themselves and can just hold up.
We basically live in a high desert, and feed is a premium. And so if we can keep that cow size down, and if we can get that 625 pound weaning weight on a cow that eats less feed, that's something that we're very interested in. I think the Galvey brings a lot of assets to the table that we really like. We don't have many of those cows that have attitude problems, and that's important to us. We like those cows being docile. When we purchase bulls, we do pay a little bit of attention to docility scores that they may have. We run in some pretty big country, and we really don't want to deal with anything that's high-headed and hard to get along with.
Up next.
When we purchase bulls, one of the characteristics I think that we take a look at is the feed efficiency of those bulls, which everybody does. I mean, you want bulls that are going to produce, and they're going to produce calves that are very feed efficient.
Learn what commercial producers look for when buying bulls. You're watching The American Rancher. Welcome back to The American Rancher. When it comes to making bull buying decisions, developing high-quality females and raising calves that excel in growth is an important trait for any cow-calf operation. Heavier weaning weights, Feed bunk efficiency, along with heavier, faster gaining feeder cattle, will go a long way toward increasing profitability. In this segment, producers explain what goes into their bull buying decisions and how Galvey and Balancer bulls influence their herd.
When we purchase bulls, one of the characteristics I think that we take a look at is the feed efficiency of those bulls, which everybody does. I mean, you want bulls that are going to produce, and they're going to produce calves that are very feed efficient. We do try to buy some bulls that will gain more on less feed. And there are some tests out there that can do that. They measure the amount of feed that goes into those bulls, and they measure that growth on a regular basis. And so when we purchase bulls, if it works in lots of places, it's got to work at high elevation and on big country and whatnot. The more we can produce out of those calves on less feed, it seems to make everybody a little happier. We're making money, and the Forest Service is a little happier because we don't have to graze quite as much country to get that accomplished.
We actually started using Galvey Bulls, I believe, back in the late 80s. My grandparents had Galvey Bulls. Then for a while we went away from them. We got back into them in the early late 2000s, and kind of had forgotten how good they can be for what we're trying to do, and have kind of been with them ever since. What we like in our country is the fact that they've been they're so resilient and do well. Our cows have to earn their keep, and the bulls have done really well at traveling, at working, and at the end of the day, we just saw by the end of the summer on our cow-calf crop, we ended up with better animals, more pounds, and just less breakdown of the bulls and cows. They just really thrived in this environment. And then the other thing that was really important to us was docility, and they've just been really good on that. When we're selecting bulls, we look more for their maternal traits of what they're passing on than anything else. The weaning weights, yearly weights are great, they're fine, but for what we're wanting, we want a more balanced animal, not a terminal animal, and so we select more towards calving ease, birth weight, milk, docility, the whole 9 yards. That's going to present us with the best females that we can make.
Andrea and I, when we pick bulls out, we like the balancer in there to get that growth and to get that performance, but we also put a little bit more emphasis on the maternal side of it, because we do pull some of our own replacement heifers out of there because we've got some good cows we really like, obviously, and so if we can keep those genetics going, and we, for our situation, just really like raising our own cattle and continuing those genetics that we have. So we try to find the best of both worlds. We have Angus-based cow herds, and then throw some of that Galvey on there to get that hybrid vigor in there and get performance in both situations. So.
One of the most important things that we do for keeping females, and also for just seeing how the bull battery, the bull group in general is doing, is we pull parentage and do sire tests on all the calves. We turn the bulls out into about a 650 acre pasture, so we don't always know who the sire is. That's been the advantage of pulling that DNA and doing that data. That has been worth its weight in gold. We learn more about our bulls, we learn more about who makes good females, who makes good steers, and surprisingly, sometimes your best looking bull doesn't do anything, and somebody you didn't think was that great actually turns out to make fantastic offspring. But as a whole, we couldn't be more pleased with what we've been doing and where our program's headed with the genetics we've been using. We're a smaller operation, but we seem to pull the prices that the bigger guys do, and I attribute that to both the superior programs plus the Galvey genetics. The Balancer genetics have done well for us.
We have good people that we go and buy bulls from, and they are obviously taking really good care and making sure that they sort for making sure they're not having any crazy cattle in there too, because we're their customers, and so they take care of us in that way. So Everything that we have are docile. They stay healthy. We don't have hoof rot problems. The longevity of the bulls, they run. They stay in the herd for 4 or 5 years as long as we can use them, and very seldom do we have any bulls that don't test good. They always seem to test very well. And they just go and they do their job. They get things covered, and then just watch the pounds come on, because that's what we like to see is those pounds and good frame, good fleshing cattle.
With our bulls, we're trying to find something that's moderate, but yet not too moderate at the same time. We all have to remember we are selling by the pound, but yet at the same time we don't want 1,800-pound females running around out here either. We feel like we've been fortunate. We've been able to find a breeder and come up with several bulls these last few years, and they're local, and I feel like he knows a lot about his cattle, and in return that helps me out a lot, because we're dealing with these cattle in the same kind of environments.
For more information about Galvey and Balancer cattle and the commercial programs offered by the American Galvey Association, visit galvey.org. And for more information about us, visit our website, theamericanrancher.com, or connect with us on Facebook. I'm Pam Minnick. For our entire American Rancher team, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.